What's up, everybody? Welcome to podcast now. I'm Alex, and in this video, I want to do a quick check-in on Mass Effect and just kind of talk about where we're at with this game and this franchise and BioWare and all this stuff. It's been a pretty incredible last year, and I think you have to include the last 12 months so you can include Dragon Age in that, right? Look, one thing I kind of want to touch on is, like, you look at 2026, and I think this is going to start to look even worse for BioWare because Exodus is supposed to come out next year, and now you just had that Expanse game get announced about a month ago that looks very Mass Effect-like, and once again made up of veterans that seem to know what they're doing, and we already kind of knew that from the Exodus team. So it's like over the next little while, it depends on how you look at it. Maybe that's too pessimistic. One optimistic way of looking at it is, hey, you get games that are kind of born in the same kind of light as Mass Effect, and they have a chance to come out and do something really special and, like, be their own thing, make a mark for themselves or an impact, right? And then also, if you want to look at the Mass Effect angle, kind of hold us over, for when Mass Effect eventually comes out. That would be the optimistic way. The pessimistic way is it might look bad for them, right, when these other games come out and maybe they do certain things better, maybe the entire game's better. We'll see how it works, right? So that's just one element of it where it's like, I think over the next year and a half, we're going to start to feel that feeling more often where it's like, now you got, like, not Mass Effect clones, but games that are very, very close and almost this jealousy of like, well, can we also, not that we don't need those, we definitely need those type of games, and hey, hopefully they can push Mass Effect, even from behind the scenes, but can we please get Mass Effect? So, we have that angle. You have, really, so much of the fallout, it wasn't even just Dragon Age coming out and that in and of itself. We've had like almost a year of reporting of like everything that went wrong. It really puts things in perspective when, how could something have gone wrong? I saw all these journalists say this is BioWare, they're back, this is their moment, this is the Mass Effect 2 moment, and yet all we're getting is all this insider reporting of how an absolute disaster of a game that it was and all the changes that were made and all that jazz. But one positive, because it's just a sea of negativity when it comes to that stuff, okay? And you can have whatever opinion you want on it, by the way. I know there's people that really like Dragon Age, but there's so much negativity about how it was handled behind the scenes, and also the reception of the game from a good amount. I don't know if you want to say most people, but definitely a good amount of people did not think it was BioWare's Mass Effect 2 moment, whatever, okay? So you had all that, but the positive of it was, and it was kind of shunning Dragon Age, right? But this idea that, like, EA and BioWare have always had, or at least maybe EA, like, they've always had this slant towards Mass Effect. They look at Mass Effect teams better. They look at Mass Effect as a property better. They look at Dragon Age more as a joke or a second thought type thing where it's just not as important. So, interesting. And again, like, if you're talking about preserving Dragon Age and keeping that thing around, which I would like, by the way. I like Dragon Age. I did not like the Veilguard all that much. But, if I want Dragon Age around, you hate to see it because it just seems like it's never really given a chance, even from like behind the scenes management type stuff. But considering we're here to talk about Mass Effect, the positive is they seem to at least trust that Mass Effect team better. And even from that reporting, like, the Dragon Age team sounded dysfunctional in terms of literally how they communicate and how they get work done. And remember, in that reporting, I think from Jason Schreier, they bring in the Mass Effect team, and the Mass Effect team, like, has a structure. Like, they know, again, how to communicate, who does what, who to listen to, and all that stuff. So it's like, yeah, it looks very bad. I think it looks bad as BioWare in general. It looks bad on Dragon Age. But for Mass Effect, it's like, you know what? They might have, like, a pretty good system there. And so really, to get to something I want to say, like, I do have faith that this game is going to come out. I think, and that's rather sad, I think, that we even have to be saying it, where I think we almost have to be afraid of the longevity and, like, the survival rate of that company, which is crazy that you would say, I think 10, 15 years ago, you would tell people that BioWare is in trouble and, like, realistically is one more game away, Mass Effect, from being completely shut down. Like, that would be nuts, but whatever, right? But I do think they're going to be given the chance to do it. I know, like, the reporting has, it's leaning more chance, right? But even in the reporting, it's like, well, BioWare might be shut down. Like, EA might eventually just have enough. It's looking like right now they'll be given the chance to do Mass Effect and show that they can rebound, and then they'll take it from there. But, like, that's not a 100% guarantee. It's maybe 80 or 70% a guarantee, but it's not 100%, right? So it's like, even at the best, one random day, the economy could just fall off the cliff tomorrow, and BioWare's done, right? They're just completely completely shut down. So it's sad, but it's like this is a situation that BioWare, I don't really feel all that bad. If we're going to be a little mean for a second, this has been years of mistakes and just not doing it right for probably at least 10 years since Dragon Age Inquisition, like after Dragon Age Inquisition, which I do think like nailed it enough and definitely sold. But after that point on, I mean, what have they done that's really deserved, the benefit of the doubt and all that jazz? So I really quickly, by the way, just checked their job postings. Sometimes you can get stuff from that. Sometimes you can't. Sadly, this is one of those examples that you can't. They're hiring one position. There's literally one job opening at BioWare, which I would probably look at, well, I would like to look at it as a positive, right? But then it's like, well, you hear that Mass Effect is like 2, 3, 4 years away, right? Like we're probably still not getting Mass Effect till like 2028, 2029, which is insane. It's ridiculous. It's unfreaking believable that could even be the case. So, like, from that way, it's like, okay, well, don't you, like, build and, like, you become bulkier, as you get closer to the game coming out. And that's generally true in game development. But this one, it doesn't mean they don't have a big team. You know what I mean? I guess the more scary thing is, like, how many Dragon Age people did they inherit, right? Because, again, there seems to be an okay amount of structure going on with Mass Effect. How far did they make it on their own? And then when Dragon Age ended, how many people went over to it, and then what did that do to like the team's composition? So I mean, these are things that they're fun, I guess, to talk about, but at the same time, it's like you're not going to even see these things come to fruition. You're not going to see it with your own eyes for freaking years, and that to me is just the most sad thing. Where it's like, I don't know, back in the day, I always say PS3 360 era, you got trilogies made in like 5, 6, 7 years total development time. You can't even get Mass Effect with Dragon Age when these things started so long ago. Like from the time that we originally saw Mass Effect to the time that it's going to release is going to probably be 7, 8 years, which is, it needs to stop. It really, really does. And they're one of the worst ones at it. There are, I think, people that are worse or developers that are worse, but they're pretty bad too. So just want to do, like I said, quick little check-in. I'm still expecting it. Like I still do believe it's going to come out. I do think the reporting, bad for BioWare, bad for Dragon Age. If anything, it actually does come out maybe a little bit net positive for Mass Effect, where it's like, well, they might be the only ones there. Maybe it's like a 30-person team for all we know, by the way, which would be terrible because you need more than that to make a game like this. But at least they seem to have it under control and in a structure. Now, that doesn't mean much if they need 300 people and they have 30. I'm just making that number up. I do feel, though, the Mass Effect team is not very big. So I would like to hope and assume that number is going to skyrocket because you got to make the game, right? Eventually at some point. So we'll see when we see it next. I don't expect to see it this year. I do think next year would probably make sense. It's another year after seeing it, originally. And then also, you're trying to almost remove yourself from Dragon Age, have things settle with inside BioWare. I'm trying to think about it from that angle. So to have something happen this year, maybe it's too soon. But next year, you'd be approaching 2 years from Dragon Age coming out by the end of next year. Things should have settled. Things should be under control where you can really, hopefully feel good about Mass Effect late 2026. Again, not to say it doesn't come out till like 2029, but hopefully they have a stronger grasp of things, by then. So let me know what you guys think in the comments. Make sure, as always, you're subscribed to the channel, bell icon turned on, and I hope to see you all on the next one.